This is my predicted Chelsea 11 to face Celtic in the second game of our USA pre-season tour. Now that 2-2 draw against Wrexham did show us quite a lot. It played like the first game of pre-season. We looked very rusty, miles off it. However, it did show us Enzo's system and how he wants the players to incorporate his tactics and play in this system. It also showed us that Enzo is not afraid to just chop and change players to see who his best 11 is with this system. I have double checked the injury list to make sure we're up to date, but let's get into this predicted 11. So starting off in goal, we are going with Robert Sanchez. Now he actually had a very good game against Wrexham. He played for 45 minutes, kept a clean sheet, made a lot of good saves and had very good distribution, which surprised myself and a lot of other Chelsea fans. If Enzo is certain he wants Robert Sanchez to be his #1 goalkeeper, he will need to have the most consistent minutes throughout pre-season. So we're going with Sanchez in goal. Moving on to left centre-back, and I have gone for Levi Colwill. I don't really know if I'm a fan of Colwill starting as a left-back in that 4-3-3 system until we invert. However, it does work within this system when we're in possession. I think Levi Colwill is a great centre-back and he needs to get as many minutes as possible. I think he's going to be an integral part of our backline this season. Moving on to that central centre-back, and I have gone for Tosin. This guy really impressed me in the 2-2 draw against Wrexham. He only played for the second half, made some good challenges, won some good aerial duels, but one thing that did surprise me is he had one of the highest percentages of successful passes, and that's something that we need from our centre-back within this system. Moving on to the right centre-back, and I've gone for Wesley Fofana. Now this guy's had very inconsistent football for the last 2 to 3 years due to reoccurring injuries, and it was good to see him play against Wrexham. It wasn't his best game, but it was by far not his worst. I feel like he's going to be an integral part of our backline in this season, so I feel like he needs as many minutes as possible in pre-season. Moving on to that left-hand side of the double pivot, and I have chosen Romeo Lavia. Now, Lavia was the best player on the pitch against Wrexham, hands down, no questions. He looks so comfortable in that number 6 role. He was winning the ball back well, pressing well. He fit into the system perfectly. He was distributing the ball perfectly. I am so happy he is fit and playing football. He genuinely feels like a brand new signing, and he will be a very key player going into this season. Moving on to the right-hand side of this double pivot, and I have chosen Reece James. Now, Reece will start as a right-back, and he will invert into midfield when we're in possession. We saw this against Wrexham. Enzo likes to execute this system by inverting his right-hand-sided fullback. He can do it from the left with the likes of Cucurella and Viega, but I think we're going to see a repeat against Celtic with Reece being the main guy to invert into midfield. Now, a lot of Chelsea fans were saying we are wasting Reece James's ability by getting him to invert into midfield because we get the best out of him when he's going down that right-hand side, overlapping and getting the ball in. Now, I do think that Reece is going to be an integral player in Enzo's system, and I don't think he's going to completely eliminate them forward runs from Reece. I think at some point during the season, we're going to have a very fluid team that can invert from the left or the right, and I think Reece has such a varied skill set that he can literally do any job the manager tells him to. So I wouldn't worry too much. I just think we're going to see a different version of Reece James this season. Moving on to the left wing, and I have chosen Tyreek George. This guy had a very good game against Wrexham, surprised me and a lot of other Chelsea fans, and I want to see him play more minutes. It's as simple as that. He's quick, he's technical, his passing's good, he makes nice off-the-ball runs, and I'm hoping he gets more minutes in pre-season. Moving on to the left-hand side of the advanced 8 positions, I would like to see Christopher Nkunku. Again, I think he played very well against Wrexham, got himself a goal. He just needs minutes. He is a class player, and I think he will also be an integral part of Enzo's system going into the season, as long as he can stay fit. So I'm hoping he can get a continuing amount of minutes through this pre-season. Moving on to the right-hand side of those advanced 8 positions, and I have gone with Ugochukwu. Now, he did score the equaliser against Wrexham, and I think Carney Chukwuemeka had a really good game there, played the full 90, but because of that, I think Enzo is going to give Ugochukwu some minutes in the first half and probably bring on Carney in the second half. I think Ugochukwu is a confidence player. He's got a lot of technical ability, and he is a good footballer. I just think he needs more minutes. Moving on to the right-hand side, and I've gone for Noni Madueke. Now, it seems like the obvious choice. He played okay in the first half against Wrexham. He was playing very direct, but his decision making does need to be worked on, and I feel like when Angelo come on the second half, he didn't really do anything that made him stand out and make people go, wow, he needs to start. He looked very out of depth in my opinion. He had some good passes and some good balls into the box, but overall I think Noni Madueke is clear on that right hand side. And finally, I would have Mark Gue as our number 9. He really impressed me against Wrexham in that first half. Hold-up play was good. His passing was great. He was making runs in behind. He looks like a real talent, and I can see why Barcelona are quite disappointed to have let him go. He, at 18, looks very impressive, and I want to see him on the pitch as much as possible. So that is my predicted Chelsea 11 to face Celtic in our second game of the USA pre-season tour. Do you agree with the lineup, or would you have different players? Let me know in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. I will be doing a live watch along. You can register it on my profile. There is a live event where you can put your name down to make sure you get notified when I go live. And if you are new around here, make sure you hit that follow button.